Yo, yo, yo.
All right.
Yo, yo, yo. Let's do this.
Cool, man.
Let's do this. Let's go whenever
All
you're
right.
ready.
All right. I think we're speeding all around.
All right.
Bo, thank you for being here today. Thanks for being on my podcast. You're the second guest.
Lucky me.
Welcome, and thanks for being here again. Do you know anything
That,
about my podcast or
not really. I mean, let's go over it. You give me a call, said, let's be on a podcast. Let's do it.
Yeah, you asked me before if I had any questions or anything that I could broach you with in terms of preparing you for this, but I don't really want any of these to be like that.
All right.
I want them to be candid conversations with
Got it.
people that inspire me.
Okay.
So,
What an honor. Thank
yeah.
you. I've known this my entire life, but thank you for
Well,
validating that.
Yeah, I mean, I admire you in terms of your business acumen, and I think me and you have something similar in terms of trying to balance that dichotomy between creative pursuits as well as that business acumen, like I mentioned. And I think we're on opposite ends of that spectrum. And I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, your thirst for survival, so to speak, being an immigrant, right? I think that has something to do with it. So I think I want to dive a little bit into your journey in terms of coming from Algeria as an immigrant here with your family. I never really got into this conversation with you, in terms of all the details.
I would think, yeah.
But from what my perspective of what your journey is what I read in the pilot script from American Muslim.
Yep.
So that somewhat resembles your journey, right?
Is.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh yeah, 100%. No, I mean the first chapter of my book, the first three chapters actually, and also what you read in the pilot, the first part of it is literally about my childhood.
Right.
So it kind of goes in depth into what happened, the reason why we left the country, why we came out here, why we moved out here. It's interesting what you said. He said something earlier. It's about the survival, but I would use it more about I replaced that word with the success. The only reason is what I remember first when we moved out here, my dad sat us down. We had a deep conversation, and it's the U.S. is one of the only places in the world where you can set your own destiny. You can either be successful or you can be a failure. That all depends on your distractions and the level of distractions you're gonna have.
Right.
You can become anything you want to become. And to me, that changed me where it's I know what I want out of life. I know what my purpose is and try to live up to my purpose as much as possible. And you can pretty much relate to this. It's a gift and a curse, being gifted at different things, where it's coming down to business, being good at business, being able to actually succeed at business management, running up businesses, starting up businesses. But yeah, you have a gift of creative, writing scripts, being in movies, being in all of that. So sometimes it's trying to balance between that, having too many options to fall back in. It's a gift being able to be successful at so many different things, but it's a curse because you can't just focus on one thing. It gives you too many opportunities. You always have something to fall back into.
Right.
So it's always that struggle of survival.
Yeah, and I think that's where you and I differ a little bit because I jumped into my creative pursuits just after college. So 2012, I graduated from San Diego State, and then I became an actor. So I started as an actor just like you, and I fell in love with the craft. The first thing that I was on was an HBO show. It was shooting down here in Imperial Beach, and I had a Taft-Hartley line. I got a speaking line, and I even crashed the fucking van. On set. I wasn't supposed to crash it, but I crashed it. But it was an HBO show.
Oh, wow.
I fell in love with the mechanics of set and just being able to be creative like that and see the business side of things because it was an HBO set, So I fell in love with it right away. And while I was in college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I jumped around from major to major. Psychology is what really got me interested in becoming an actor, and I was also watching. You remember the show Entourage? Oh, I was obsessed with that show, and I was I'm gonna become famous and shit. But
so let me ask you this: was it fame that drove you, or was
in
it
the beginning? I think so. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so it's 100% fame.
I think everybody's got to have a little bit of allure and attraction to the fame, but over time, I really fell in love with just the craft of filmmaking, and that's why I found myself getting behind the camera instead of being just in front of it because. Like I said, I fell in love with all of the different aspects of filmmaking.
Interesting. What do you think your purpose in life is? Set aside everything.
To inspire people, man. And I
Right.
think the best or the most authentic way to inspire people is through your art.
There you go.
And as long as your art is coming from an authentic and genuine place, that's the way to inspire people. I mean, that's what this podcast is for, really, because I think it's just I'm always talking about giving back to people.
Uh-huh.
Like, when I'm on set, I'm always making these films for dirt cheap and telling people, listen, I appreciate you coming on the set and like doing it for cheap or free, but I got to give back to you now. So what I found is being in service of others eventually will serve yourself. And I think I started from, because you were talking about like, was I attracted to fame in the beginning, being an actor and watching Entourage, and a little bit, yeah, but it changed. It flipped a 180 on me, and now I really just love the craft. And now that I've fallen in love with the craft, I really see how it can affect people.
Interesting. So how do you see it affecting people? Let's be like, how, besides the actors and the crew and all of that, how do you see your impact is going to be at a global scale, or at least on a bigger scale?
Christopher Nolan is my favorite director, and I think one of the aspects of watching one of his films that I always walk out of a theater when I watch his film for the first time, like a new one that just came out, is it leaves you thinking when you get out of the theater, and you can't stop thinking about whatever the message is of that film. And if you can, as a filmmaker, from my perspective, if you can make films and art that touch people in a way to where they're critically thinking after they've already seen the movie, like that can change people, and that can inspire people to do great things. Like I don't have to inspire the person to cure cancer, but if I inspired a kid to chase his dream and he became somewhat successful at that, then I think I'd be happy with that at the end of the day.
Wow, that's incredible, man. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. And then let me ask you this. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
Where do I
What
see
dri-
myself?
Yeah, where do you see yourself?
That's a good question. I feel like it's always changing.
Okay.
I think for me, it's always evolving. I used to think about where I would see myself, and everybody writes down their goals, 5-year goals, 10-year goals,
Uh-huh.
30-year goals. But in the process of, like I said, falling in love with this craft of filmmaking, I've realized also that it's not about the destination or where you're trying to go or what you're trying to achieve. It's the growth that comes with the journey.
That is very true, man.
And we discover things on set, right? Like we do all of the pre-production work,
Uh-huh.
and it's all lined up, ready to knock down the pins and have a good film. But then you get on set, and the collaboration, the alchemy,
Uh-huh.
sometimes it creates these happy accidents, and like that's where the magic is, and like that's what I live for.
That's very true. It's funny you said that because, like, I think I might have shared this with you before, but I've always been like goal-driven type of individual. I've always like I set my goals.
Yeah.
I'm tunnel vision. I do whatever it takes to succeed and then move on to the next goal. And then back in 2020, the story, like when I went to Algeria for the first time, back since I was 10 years old, I went out trying to build a studios out there, an entire like tax incentive program, boost the economy, provide jobs. That was like one of my life goals and dreams. And I was finally there making it happen. And it was phenomenal, man. Just being able to sit down with all these ministers with the government and like put together a plan that's going to impact thousands, if not 100,000s of people. And then COVID hit. And then I came back stateside, and I remember I was literally this close to finalizing the deal. And then COVID hit, and I remember the call that I got first thing in the morning, and they're like, I was on a Thursday, and they're like, hey, we're going to shift our focus, our budget, everything's going to go towards healthcare. We'll talk about entertainment after COVID, but for now, we're going to put it aside. And that literally destroyed me. I remember coming back, the country was shut down, and I ended up driving to Florida to meet up with one of my buddies. I was going through depression. I felt like a failure because I set a goal and I did not succeed on my goal.
Yeah.
And I remember that was during COVID. So I was like, you smoke every once in a while. And I remember we did an edible at night, me and my buddy, my best friend Zach, and we're walking at the beach. It was like in the middle of the night, just me and him. And he asked me a question. He's like, we did these like moments of gratitude every night. We talk about what we're grateful for in life. So we did that. And then he looked at me and he's like, hey, what do you see yourself 5 to 10 years from now? And I remember going through bullet point like society tells us, where I'm like, I'm going to get my book published. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I just go and boom, 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 boom. But luckily, I did an edible that day, that night. So my brain was like at a next level creativity.
Yeah.
And I remember I literally stopped and I looked at him. I was like, you know what? Scratch that. Fuck it. I don't know. I have no idea where I'm going to be 5 years from now. That was the first time that reality hit me, where it's like, and I remember I drew it down on the sand with a piece of, I had like a piece of wood, like not a piece of wood, like a stick of wood, and I drew it down on the sand where it's like, this is my problem my entire life, and problem to us as a society. We're all goal driven, which means you ask me where I'm going to be 5 years from now, I'm going to set a goal. This is where I'm going to be. This is where I see my life is. But the problem that we overlook is that we're constantly growing, we're constantly evolving and becoming better, wiser individuals. So 2 years from now, if I'm wiser and I'm smarter and I'm a better individual and I'm still stuck in the goal that I set 2 years ago, that's a disadvantage for me. I'm not living up to my full potential.
Yeah.
And that was when I realized it's like, I have no idea where I'm going to be. But what I do know, this is my purpose in life. This is what I believe I'm here for. So whatever I'm going to be doing is going to align with my purpose.
Right.
I'm going to welcome any opportunities that come my way as long as they align with my purpose. And they're going to get me to the final destination, which is the person I'm destined to be.
Yeah.
And that moment literally changed everything about my life. The way I approach every situation, opened up so many different doors that I didn't even see they existed because I was always been tunnel visioned on my goals. And funny what you said right now, it reminded me of that moment where it's like, I don't know where I'm going to be 5 years from now, but I'm going to get there.
Yeah, and I think when people get too inundated with goals and destinations of where they want to be and what they want to achieve, it leaves you a little disappointed when you don't necessarily hit all of those goals, right? And it takes a little bit of mental toughness to weather that storm and get through it and try to pursue the next goal. But I think just giving in to the fact that we're all humans and we're all here for the journey.
Yeah.
And that we're not here for destinations. And if we can help each other on each other's journey, I know I have issues with that, but I feel like candid conversations like this is what's really missing in society these days. And I think this would help and cure a lot of like issues that we have that's dividing us. You know what I mean?
How's that?
Because it like these long form conversations are the only way to really understand what makes somebody tick, how they think, where they came from, their perspective.
And that is very true. I mean, you look at it, we're the most connected generation in history, but yeah, we're the loneliest. And it's because people don't take time to have these conversations. People don't take time to get to know each other. And that
Right.
is the one thing that's missing in our society nowadays. It's like, we're so caught up with social media. We're so caught up with so many different things that we're not taking the time to learn about one another. We're not taking the time to get to know one another. And I think that's big.
Yeah. Is that you?
That is me. Yep.
Is it Tommy probably?
Probably. Let me check.
Yeah, you can check
No,
it.
it's not actually. No, it's not somebody else.
That's cool. No, you're good, man. No worries. No, yeah. Sorry, where were we at again?
We're talking about getting to know each other, society.
Oh, right.
And
Yeah. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast. You know me, like I've always been thinking about doing a podcast, but I really wanted to do something that like mattered to me. I just didn't want to create some bullshit that I tried, like I did that like fake character, the New Jersey dude. Remember that? And,
Yeah.
like that was an attempt, but like that's not authentic and that's not genuine
There
and
you
that's
go.
not the way to like really touch people.
There you go.
Also, another thing is like through my art, I feel like art helps heal the broken heart, right? Like it's your natural therapist or psychologist. And I think that can really help other people too.
Yeah, no, hands down. To me, it's like, I don't know, conversations like this is what matters in life. That's what the world is missing. I mean, being authentic,
Yeah.
living up an authentic life, knowing who you are, but yeah, genuinely wanting to learn about others. I mean, if you really look at it, the intelligent, I read this definition, it blew my mind. It's like the way to measure intelligence is not really by what your IQ score is, or what university you attended, or like what job titles, how smart you are. Your intelligence is a direct correlation between that and how holistic your brain is, by the capability of taking in new information constantly, changing your old beliefs based on the new information, and being able to challenge yourself.
Right.
And the only way for that to happen is by having conversations like this. The only way that to happen is, that's why I love traveling, getting out there, learning about others, learning about other cultures, which, I'm big on like the one race, the human race. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's all about, to me, it's about learning about our differences is the only way that's going to make humanity grow stronger together, versus focusing on our differences in a negative way. It's not about how similar we are, it's about how different we are that really matters.
Right.
And having conversations like this, getting to know people, being authentic, it's what really matters.
Yeah, and I think now more than ever, even though we're inundated with, the COVID and the pandemic came around, and then all this fake news, misinformation, all that kind of shit started spinning. But because there's so much of that, I feel like there is a general discernment amongst the population, and people are able to see what's not as genuine now, because there's been so much bullshit out there that it's easier to recognize.
That's true.
And I think that's why things like this, like podcasts, have like really taken off, because people can really like relate to these real conversations. Because you see shit like this on the news before podcasts became big, it would be a conversation like this or an interview or something like that, and then they would splice it up to whatever fit the narrative that they're trying to sell.
That is true.
But when you have it like this, there's no cuts, there's no edits. Like, you got to watch the whole thing, and you got to hear everybody's thoughts from beginning to end. And I think there's a lot of, I'm a psychology minor, and I loved psychology, and I think there's a lot of power in psychology.
There is, if it's used properly. But yeah, there is.
Yeah,
and
for
that's
sure.
the thing. But yeah, no, man, that is true. That is true. I mean, I'm looking forward to see where the future lead us. I mean, you, out of all people, man, you've gone above and beyond to helping the community here in San Diego in the film industry. Even though you did say something earlier that like you do these low budget films and things like that, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're doing, you're giving an opportunity for these actors to get on set.
Right.
You're giving them a chance to do something instead of just sitting at home and doing nothing.
Yeah.
And the feedback that I've got from different actors, different actresses, different crew members, on the joy, man, like it's the impact you're making in their life. For a lot of them working 9 to 5, especially the industry in San Diego is so small. There isn't a lot going on. So it's like these people working 9 to 5, they're depressed, they're not happy because they're not living up to their potential. They're not actually doing the things that they truly enjoy. And then you come in, and that's true, it is a low budget, but you're giving them a chance at their goal. You're giving them a chance to live up to what they're meant to be.
Yeah.
And that is magic, my friend. That is what really matters.
Yeah, and I think I reconnected with an old friend. We were talking about it earlier, Jace.
Yep.
Shout out to Jace. What up, dude?
buddy.
I'm going to get him on here one day.
Nice.
But we reconnected. We had somewhat of a falling out, and he was one of those people that, like you said, I try to exert influence on people and try to get them to do things that I know is good for them. But you can lead a horse to water, you just can't make him drink.
True.
And I feel like before that falling out with Jace, like, he was a good friend. Like, he was in my wedding, right? He was in the wedding party.
Yeah.
Went to my bachelor party. He came and saw, even when we were on bad terms, he came and saw me for my mom's funeral last summer. So, like, respect to him. But he changed over that time, but I did too. Like, I realized that he was the example, but like, I've had it for you before too, but resentment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, resentment for my friends because they're not listening to what I think is good advice. And I think that's just ego.
It is ego, man. Cause like, and I'll be straight up honest with you, I used to be like that.
I did.
But I used to be like
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's you cannot give it you can give advice, but you cannot hold somebody accountable for not following that advice
Right.
just because you don't know what's going on in their life at that exact moment.
Yeah.
And in your eyes might be the best decision to do, but whatever they're going through in their life, that might be the worst case scenario and they just don't want to touch it. So what you can do, you cannot judge people based on their decisions if not following. All you have to do is give a helping hand as many times as you can, and then it gets to a point where you're just gonna have to walk away and accept that they're not ready for it. Whenever they're ready for it, they can reach out to you, but
Yeah.
you cannot hold resentment. You cannot hold that against them just because you don't know what's going on in their life, man. Just like
Yeah.
when you were going through so much, and you and I remember we've had some serious conversation.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I was
yeah.
mad at you several
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
But then again, I did not know what you were going through until you told me. I remember it was in
Right.
Arizona
Yeah.
when you came
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And it was sitting on the couch and you were telling me about what you're going through. And I felt like an asshole.
Yeah, but that's partly my fault, because I don't talk about it. Like I come from that old school generation. I know you can relate, but like
Yeah.
we come from not America. Like we speak our mind and we speak our mind with our emotions,
True.
and then we're stubborn as fuck.
Yeah.
So like if we want to win a conversation, like we're gonna fight till the end.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes that can get chippy. Like I've had me and my Serbian best friends, my kum and everybody, like we've literally come to fisticuffs over stupid
Small
shit,
stuff.
But in the end, like we love each other, right? Like we're brothers from another
Hands
mothers.
down, bro.
So I think I had to like really absorb that and be like, why am I letting something stupid make me feel so negative about somebody that I should care about,
Yeah.
So
It's funny you said that. I recently had he used to be a very, very, very close friend of mine. No longer consider him a good friend of mine, but I do consider, I almost went through cutting him off out of my life. I was going through some shit, like some really stressful, a lot of stuff. And he was there at the moment, didn't even follow up, and to me, it's like, oh, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? Like, I felt like if friendships are there for you for the lowest and the highest,
Yeah.
and if they're not there, then what kind of friendship is this? And I went not talking to him for almost a month, a little over a month. But then I realized it's like, I had to make that decision. It's like, is this the type of friend that I want to have as best friend? Is this the top person that I want to count on? Put it that way. No, that is not the top person I want to count on because I can't count on him. But can I judge him for his action? No, I cannot, because I don't know what his life experience has been. I don't know what he's been through his entire life. I don't know if his actions based on his experience can be validated. And I can't put myself on his shoes. So therefore, I'm going to accept him as a friend. I'll keep him as a friend. But I will not count on him as a best friend just because that is not the type of person I want to count on in my life. But I'm not going to judge him for his actions just because something I wouldn't do. That doesn't mean that if I would have lived his life, I've gone through what he's experienced in his life, I would act exactly like him.
Did you ever have a conversation with him about the details of it? And
I did.
Okay.
I did. And he said pretty much, we brought it up. And you know me, I'm pretty direct.
Yeah,
Like I held up and I was like, hey, what the fuck's going on? And went over it. And from his perspective, it was like, oh, I just figured you needed your space. You needed some time. I just didn't want to bother you. And it's like, come on, you know what I was going through. Like that makes absolutely no sense. But at the same time, I'm like, hey, that's his answer. I'm not going to judge him for it. I just know better not to count on him. I'll keep him as a friend. I'll say hi to him. We'll talk. I'm not going to hold a grudge against nobody.
Yeah.
Even though I've gone above and beyond with this person, I've literally like done everything for them. But it's like, that's the person that I am.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to allow his action to change the person that I am. I'm going to still honor that friendship. I just won't count on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No,
And it's
totally.
like, it's interesting. It's like we start growing up and we become wiser and we start learning these little things. And it's like every once in a while, our younger self's trying to pull us down. And you just have to realize, you're like, hey, dude, this is who I am now. And it's just got to keep moving forward and keep growing in a way.
Yeah, no, for sure. And speaking of your younger self, I kind of want to know and like understand how your younger self and your journey coming from Algeria as an immigrant, like translated into your purpose today and this drive that you have that's relentless? I mean, you know me, I'm a follower of Kobe Bryant and that Mamba mentality. And I try to apply that to filmmaking. Like, I'm doing this all the time. Like, I'm obsessed with this shit and there's nothing that's going to get in my way. So what got you to that point when it comes to like business and that entrepreneurial spirit?
To me, it's like, honestly, it's the sacrifice that my parents made.
You saw some shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Saw some crazy stuff
Yeah.
growing up as a child. But it comes down to me as an adult. I've had my fun times, like my early 20s, like 18, 19, 17, partying too much, doing so many crazy stuff. You know how life goes.
Yeah.
But then I had to realize it's like, I'm different than everybody else. Like the people I was partying with, the people I was hanging out with, it's like they did not have the same childhood like I have. Their parents did not make the same sacrifice that my parents have.
Yeah.
And like you get to realize all these things and you start realizing like I'm different. I need to honor my difference and I need to respect what my parents gone through, my family's gone through, and stay true to myself. And that's the shift that happened to me. It's like realizing to where like I got a bigger purpose here in life, and I need to educate people how to bring people together, especially from different cultures, things like that. I don't need to change who I am. I need to be true to who I am and respect others and learn about others and grow stronger together. And that shift changed so many things about my life. And it's pretty vague in a way.
Yeah, no, because like I want to know the details. I mean, if you want to talk about it, I want to know the juicy details. Like what? Because I'm brown. I grew up in fucking San Diego. Like mostly white people around here, so I've dealt with a little bit of, you could say, racism or like I don't know. I think racism is too strong of a word, but like stereotyping and shit like that.
What are you
But
talking about, man? You're white. Get out of here.
come on, man. It's not summer yet. I need a little bit of time to tan. But like, you must have seen some shit where humans are just not treating other humans well.
I've seen it. Luckily, I didn't experience it much myself, but I've seen it. One of the reasons why. So like, if you keep in mind, I moved out here when I was 15 years old, 14 and a half. And that was back in 2000. So a year later was 9/11.
Oh,
And yeah,
shit.
and I was new in the country. Luckily, I didn't look like at the time like any like Muslim or anything like that. But at the same time, it's like I remember I was like 16 years old and like 16 and a half, and me and one of my friends went to it used to call it in Arizona, Castle and Coastals, and it's a theme park and things like that. We went there and we're trying to hit on these girls. And my buddy is like, oh yeah, he's said that we're Christians, both of us. And we're gonna go to church. And I'm like, what is he talking about? He's like, I'm not. But at the same time, it's like, oh shit, I see what he's trying to do. He's afraid.
Did he know that you were?
Oh yeah,
Muslim?
he knew.
Oh,
He
okay,
knew. Yeah,
okay.
but it was
Okay.
all fear. It's
Oh,
like because
wow.
what was going on at the time.
Yeah, he didn't want to get ostracized.
Exactly. And he was trying to impress these girls. They didn't want to scare them, given the situation. And it's interesting to me because like I went through with it and I was just like smiled and didn't even say anything. And then like with time, you start like developing this thing. Like I started drinking, going out, like doing stuff that like it's not within my culture,
Right.
so to say. And to me, it felt like I was trying to fit in.
Assimilate to, yeah.
And then it hit me, even though like I've always believed in my faith, that never changed. But I was trying to portray a different image out there. And then it got to the point where I started to realize to me, it was a game changer. It was this one good friend of mine. His name is Kenny now. His name is Kenny, not now. He's always been Kenny. he's right at 60 years old. But when I met him back then, he was obviously a little younger than that. And we were working on a job, did not know how to use it. He wasn't good computer savvy pretty much. So I was helping him. And then we connected. We always had lunch together. And then it was Ramadan started. So the way schedule used to be, like during lunchtime, I used to like have lunch with him and then go get a workout done and then go back to work. But then started Ramadan, so I stopped having lunch with him. I was just fasting. So I'll fast and then go have my workout done and came back. But I wouldn't even tell anybody that I'm fasting or anything like that. And I remember he looked at me and he's like, hey, you haven't had lunch for a while. What's going on? I was like, oh, yeah, I'm fasting. He's like, oh, is this part of your new workout program? I'm like, what do you mean fasting? What are you fasting? What are you not allowed to eat based on this new diet? And I ended up, I was like, no, I'm Muslim actually. So I'm fasting because it's Ramadan. And I remember his response to me. He looked at me, he's like, you're Muslim? I was like, uh-huh. He's from the Midwest, Kansas City. Like, great guy, incredible guy. He's like, you don't act like one. And I was like,
What does that mean?
exactly. I looked at it, I
Yeah.
was like, what do you mean? He's like, you're friendly, you help me, you do all these things. You don't act like what I've heard of Muslims. He's never met one in his life.
Wow.
Yeah. And to me, that was like the shifting point where it's like, wow, holy shit. Right now, he's one of the biggest fans of Muslim people and things like that. And he always speaks highly of them now, but he did not know any better. And to me, it was like, how can I try to hide it? And I've actually never had this conversation with a lot of people. So you're getting some deep shit from me.
Okay, I like
And
it.
it's like, to me, it was like, how can I try to fit in and try to act differently when the person that I am, the religion that made me who I am, the culture that made me who I am is so great that people obviously, when they learn about it, they appreciate it. But yeah, I'm taking that away from it.
Right.
And that's where it's like, nah, dude, I'm gonna let people know everywhere I go. I'm never gonna try to hide it again.
Yeah.
And it was all fear driven in the beginning, but that changed so many things on me. And that just like, it's a beautiful thing. And to me, it's like when somebody tells you you don't act like who you're supposed to be when you're being yourself, it was hard to take in at that moment.
I can
But
definitely see
then I was
that.
like, there's
Yeah.
nobody else to blame but myself because I'm trying to hide my identity.
Right. And not only your identity, but like you talked about earlier, you knew that you were different and you
Yeah,
were hiding the differences because the differences made you stand out and you
exactly.
weren't ready for that attention.
Yeah. And that's, to me, that's what it's like, being authentic, being true to yourself. That's what makes the world go around. Like knowing who you are, stay true to who you are, but yet accept people for who they are and respect people for who they are. That's what makes the world go around. It's not try to fit in. It's not, none of that matter. It's like,
Right.
if you're a good person, that's all that matter. You have a good heart. You're a good person. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what your culture is. I want to learn about it because it might make me a better person. There might be something in there that's way better than the way I'm doing it. And if you're trying to hide it, you're doing a disadvantage to the world.
Well, I think you just gave us our "You Don't Know Jack" moment because that's essentially what "You Don't Know Jack" films is, a play on words. Obviously, it was like, I don't know if you remember this. It was a board game back in the day. It was like a trivia game.
Oh, nah.
You don't know Jack, you don't know shit,
Oh, yeah,
essentially.
yeah. I don't know. I
It
know
was a
that one.
trivia. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But the reason why I use it is because one of my biggest core values is empathy. And like you were just talking about, you really don't understand somebody until you get a chance to talk to them and understand their perspective and their history. And that really can open up people's eyes about different things. And we need that now more than ever, I feel like.
Yeah.
I feel like what you were talking about with your buddy who had this idea of Muslims, yet he'd never met one before, that comes from messaging. And that's the messaging of the media, that's messaging from your parents. Sometimes your parents will lead you astray in terms of your values and the stuff that you learn. And you either learn it as you grow up or you don't. And I feel like if you do and you have that self-awareness, we were talking about my resentment for people, and
Yeah.
that was one of the things that I resented about people was not everybody has that discernment and self-awareness. And it irritated me
Interesting.
for a little bit. But then once I let that go and realized that it's a special quality that I have more than other people, and not to like look down upon them just because they don't have it as much as me doesn't mean they're less of a human than I am.
There you go. It's interesting you said that. So like somebody told me the story. This new mentor of mine that I'm doing a lot of work with, and he shared an incredible story with me, which aligns with what you're talking about. It's like he said like there's this one town, right, where like people were complaining, nobody was happy in that town. Everybody's complaining. An angel came down from the heavens, and an angel came down from the sky. Keep it at that. And then angel's like, ah, you guys are not happy. They're like, no, my neighbor has this. I don't have this. This guy has this. I don't have this. I want to have that. I want their life. I want his life. So he's like, all right, let's do this. First thing in the morning at 5 a.m., let's meet by this mountain. There's a mountain right next to them. Put your life, everything that you have in your life, in a bag and bring it over. Everybody did that. They set all their entire life pretty much in a bag, like your childhood, everything, your experiences, all of it. It's like, all right, now pick any bag that you want. You have 24 hours to keep it. After 24 hours, if you decide to keep it, that's your life, your new life. So everybody picked up the best bag that they wanted. Within 24 hours, everybody came back and picked up their own bag again. And it's like sometimes you look at somebody else, you're like, I have this quality that this person doesn't have, or this person has a quality that I don't have. But at the same time, I'm a big believer that we're all equally the same. We all have different strengths and different weaknesses.
Exactly. Yeah.
Where like you could have this great quality that you don't see in other people, but if you actually take a step back and you look at it, they might have another quality that you admire to have. And that's what makes us go around, as being able to appreciate those differences,
Right.
and being able to look at it from the, I'm gifted, I'm glad I have this, I'm glad this, but at the same time, I'm not going to put it on other people, and I'm not going to hold people accountable for having the lack of qualities that I have, because I'm pretty sure I'm lacking some of the qualities that they have.
Of course.
And that's the best way to move forward. At least for me, that's like one of the things. It's like, it took me a while to realize that. It took me a while to understand that. It's like, but it changes your perspective. And as you know, like for me, it's all about perspective in life. Any given situation, anything that you encounter in life, there's different angles. And I think Tommy Robbins says it best. It's like, you go up to a party, imagine your eyes are like a camera. Whatever you zoom in, you focus on, that's the experience that you're going to have. And that's why like some people go to the same party, somebody's going to talk about like, oh, dude, I had a great experience, blah, blah, blah. Somebody was like, man, that was the worst party ever. And this person was like, because like it's what you're focusing on is the experience that you're going to end up with.
Yes.
Which
exactly.
is so true, man. That's what about life, everything in life.
Well, and that's why people talk about gratitude, because gratitude is an intentional focus on the things that you have instead of focusing on the things that you don't have.
True.
Right. And I mean, I think that's a quality that everybody should strive for, gratitude.
Oh, yeah.
Because it definitely helps out, especially in times of grief,
Yeah.
you know, because,
You've been through all.
yeah. So
How are you doing, by the way?
I'm doing good. I'm doing a lot better. I feel like just creating really helps me out, but I think the past couple of years there's been like a lack of balance in terms of just focusing strictly on working, you know, like I haven't had the work-life balance, I haven't had the relationship balance, especially the health balance. Like that was the one thing that the last couple of years has really like taken a toll on me, is my health. And for how hard I work, I just came to the realization that I need to stay in shape, exercise, eat right, and keep my nutrition in check if I want to sustain the hard-working life that I'm working for. You know what I mean? So I'm doing good. Thanks for asking, bro.
You're welcome, man. You've had the last couple of years it's been pretty tough on you. But to me, it feels like, I don't know, it could be all experiences trying to prep you up for what's to come, man.
Oh, for sure.
So you have great
Yeah.
people. Also show that you have incredible people in your life. Like your wife, man, I love that lady. She's an incredible human being, and she's been by your side through goods and bads, and she's always
Yeah.
been there.
Yeah, I mean,
That is a gift. Having her on your side, that is a gift.
it is a huge gift, and I'm grateful for her
There
every
you
single
go.
day, because you know the sacrifices that she makes for
Oh,
me,
yeah.
or anybody who tries to pursue a career in the arts. It's like the first half of that career life, you're struggling, bro.
And see, that's where a lot of people don't know. Now, let's start talking about that.
Oh yeah.
Where like a lot of people are like, for example, I use my life as an example. They're like, they see the outside, but they don't know the struggle that you're going through on a daily basis.
The iceberg.
Yeah, they don't
You see
know.
the top, but you have no idea what's below the surface.
Yeah, they're just making. It's like, come on, and to me, it's like that's really interesting. And I think that's what the world needs to know out there. It's like you want something in life, get out there, make it happen, do it. Everything's possible. Sorry again.
Is that Tommy?
Nah, it's my dad actually, but I call him after. Okay. It's yeah, you want something in life, get out there, do it, make it happen. But you need to realize that it's not going to be an easy road. And you can never judge other people or compare yourself with other people. And that's sadly what a lot of people tend to do.
Especially now.
Yeah.
It's magnified with social media. It's
Exactly.
crazy.
Exactly. We were just actually having a conversation recently about what's his name? Deadpool, the main actor in it.
Ryan Reynolds.
Right. Yeah. We're talking about how great of a businessman he is.
Oh yeah, phenomenal.
Which is incredible. But at the same time, so we're talking is like, oh, he's so gifted at being a businessman. It's like that is true, but his main gift was acting. And if he did not live up to that gift, he would have never become the person he is today. Which means he had to struggle so much to become an actor, and let alone start becoming successful of an actor. Where most people, majority of people would give up too early, would stop, will take, and that I can relate to myself to it when I was having a conversation, because I'm pretty gifted at business as well, but I believe my other gift is entertainment. That's my main gift, is using that to make a positive change. But I was comparing myself to him when we were having a conversation, in the sense of like, he could have walked away from acting before he made it big and probably been a great businessman, but would have never been as big of a businessman what he is right now, owning a soccer team and all of that. And that's because he stayed focused on his main goal, which is acting, his main gift. And once he fulfilled that gift, and then he went after the other stuff.
I was gonna finish your sentence for you if you didn't say gift, because I think that like brings me back to talking about discernment and self-awareness. Like you have to know what you're gifted at, and you have to have that self-awareness of where your weaknesses lie. And no matter how much you want to dream of this dream goal that you have, if you can't kick a soccer ball, you're not going to be a soccer player. Sorry to say.
True.
So I mean, I think that there's a big factor when it comes to understanding what your gift is, but then chasing it wholeheartedly is.
No, exactly. We all have multiple gifts. Every one of us have, but we have that one gift that matters the most. And it's like, you have to live up to it. You have to, and I'm speaking to myself right now as I'm talking to you. It's like, you need to know what that is, and you cannot be distracted by the other gifts that you have, because that's the biggest problem. Like, it goes back to what I said earlier. It's like being gifted at multiple things. That's the biggest problem, because it's easy to fall back on something else, but like, I'm great at this. I'm going to do this for a bit. And then that bit turns into months. Those months turn into years. And then you're like, oh shit, I need to get back to this. And then you go back to acting, you go back to producing, you go back to doing what your true purpose is. And you go through a rough patch. It's easy for you to make money elsewhere. It's easy for you to start another business. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to try to do this for a few months, take care of my finances, and then come back to it. And there you go again. The problem with people that made it, they never felt back on, I'm going to take a break and do something else. Like, I'm pretty sure Ryan could have easily done business growing up.
For sure.
But he stayed true to his gift until he became successful at that. And I was like, all right, now I'm successful at this. Now I'm going to focus on other gifts that I have, versus a lot of us give up too early.
Well, I think there's still aspects of that original gift as an actor and creative that translates seamlessly into marketing.
It does. But like, to me, it's like, to be that successful in business, like owning a soccer team and everything else, it's not just, it's a gift. It's definitely a gift. It's not his primary gift. If he didn't follow acting, I believe that's his primary gift. He would have never been this successful businessman. Same thing with Jay-Z. Jay-Z he's an incredible businessman, Right.
He
would have never And I think being a businessman to him is the primary gift, not rapping. Because like he could have never been a multi-billionaire just being a rapper. It's all the businesses that he started along the way, but he used rapping as a vehicle to get him there.
Right.
But stayed true to his essence, his gift, which is doing business. He didn't sign a contract as a rapper when he was young. He started a production company, he started selling his own record. That's running a business, not rapping. So if you look at his life, like people that are successful at a certain extent, it's that are following their true purpose. It's like they're following the truth. They're using other things as a vehicle to get them there, but they're following their main purpose, their
Yeah.
main gift, and they're utilizing that on a daily basis.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't think people really understand how much hard work that really is.
Yeah.
You know, especially with the ups and downs that you go through when you're chasing your main
Especially what
goal.
life throws at you, man.
Oh yeah.
Especially what life throws at. That's why, like, to me, it's like I admire you at so many different levels, and I appreciate you at so many different levels because lately, the last few years, life has thrown a lot of things at you, and yeah, you stayed committed, stayed focused. I mean, there's going to be up and downs. You did fade away for a couple of months and then came back, but you stayed focused. Where a lot of people would have been like, I'm done. I'm giving this up. I'm not going to do this anymore. But by you never once stopped pursuing your dream.
Yeah, but I'd be lying if I said that there weren't doubts that crept into
I'm
my
sure there
mind.
were.
You know.
I mean, that happens to the best of us. It happens to all of us. But the question is, what are your actions? What are you doing? And that's what it is. I mean, look, hey, you didn't go to film school. You didn't do any of that. And I mean, you've learned everything by yourself.
Yeah.
The amount of equipment you invested in, like most people, like and we know these people. I'm not going to mention any names, but you and I know some people. They said they want to do it, but yeah, when they get a paycheck, they're out drinking.
Yeah,
They're out
exactly.
partying. They're out doing this. You're like, oh, I just worked. I get this paycheck. I'm going to buy this camera. I'm going to buy this lens. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to invest in my future. And a lot of people don't do that, man.
Yep. So what you're saying doesn't match up with your actions.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly. It's kind of similar to what The Alchemist says. Like you've read the book. It's one of
Yeah.
my favorite books. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
when he was in Morocco and he was with the crystal shop owner, the guy who owns the shop, the crystal shop. He was telling the little kid where like his goal was to go to Mecca, but he never made it there. And he's like, I opened this business so I can get there because that is my goal. But then when I made enough money to go there, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to expand. I'm going to do this. And then once I make this much, I'll go. He's like, but I've never made it there in like 15 plus years. And that's because the thought of achieving that goal is what drives me, but not actually achieving it itself.
Right.
That's that infatuation of like, a lot of people is like, oh, I want to be an actor. I want to be a producer. I want to do this. But yeah, they're actually not putting in the work to be an actor. They're not doing that. They're doing so many other things. They just like to talk about it. And that's, sorry about all these calls, man.
It's all good, man. It's part of life.
And that's, to me, that's the problem with these people. It's like becoming an actor probably does not, if they got a role, they become an actor, they're not going to be as happy, sadly, because that's not really what, it's an infatuation in their mind. It's like the talk about it. Their dream is what keeps them going, but not actually becoming it.
Yeah, because every dream, there is hard work that's behind
Exactly.
that dream. Like everybody thinks that these big movie stars are overnight successes, but what they don't know is an overnight success is 20 years of people not fucking knowing who you are, working fucking tables on Sunset Boulevard and shit. And then finally one day you get your big break.
Exactly. And I don't see it, honestly, I could be wrong, but I don't see it as becoming, in the industry, specifically in the film industry, it's not luck. It is somewhat about who you know, but most importantly, it's about saying, how many times are you saying no? How many times are you saying no to walking away and staying there, sticking through it while everybody else? Because like I've known people that are like super successful right now. And yeah, some of the conversation we've had, it's like how many people they started with and how many people came in to their life and left, moved to Hollywood, wanted to become actors. they got this, they did this. And I was like, now I'm going to go to school and then go back home and do this. The amount it took them to actually get their first break, that probably met over 50, 60 people that came in and out, but they stayed true to it. They stayed committed, and they finally had that final break.
Well, I also think that comes from wanting it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
You know, like they actually love it.
Yeah.
Like if they're going to every audition and
Yeah.
they treat that audition as an acting job.
True.
This is like me getting a chance to practice my craft. Then you really love it, and you deserve it when you do get your big break.
Yeah, I remember somebody telling me this quote when I was 17, 18 years old. It's like, it's a story, but it's about this man that wanted to be successful found a guru. The guru is like, meet me at 5 a.m. at the beach. They met at 5 a.m. at the beach to learn about success. And he's like, all right, let's go out to the water. Took him out to the water to swim. And once they got to the water like this deep, he put his hand in the water and drowned him, where the guy couldn't breathe, and then almost drowned him to death, and then let him go. And the guy came up. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? I thought you were going to teach my success, not kill me. And he's like, if you want to succeed as much as you want it to breathe right now, that's when you become successful. And to me, I heard that when I was 17, 18 years old, but I was all like, yeah, I want to be that successful. Yeah, I want it that bad. But it never, I remember the day it never connected to me until I was like 28, 29 years old, where it actually hit me. Like over 10 years later, it's all like, as much as you want to breathe. Like that is completely like, which means nothing else matters in life. Not like all that matters is achieving that one goal.
Okay.
Doesn't matter what distraction, doesn't matter what happened. If your life depends on it and that's all that you do, that's when you become successful. Because now it doesn't matter if you fail, if you don't fail, what people think of you, how people look at you, you go after your goal and you make it happen. That's when you're going to succeed. Until then, you're always going to have distractions. You're always going to have something coming in, coming out, and you're easily going to be taken away from achieving it.
Yeah, I mean,
have you ever thought about like put in a position when you can't breathe? And like the
right.
thoughts
Oh,
that
I
go
get
like,
it. Trust
it's
me.
like,
Yeah.
And it didn't click to me until like I was actually working towards a project and I wanted it so bad. And it got to the point where I was like, I'm not taking no. I don't give a shit. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah.
And that's when I remembered that quote and I was like, holy shit, this is what it means.
And it's kind of taboo to say something like Timothy Chalamet. I don't know if you know who that is. He's one of the biggest actors right now. He's in Dune. He's the main star from Dune.
Yes.
He won, I think, a SAG award for his performance in Dune. Wow. And he said, I'm going to probably catch flack for this when he won his award, but I want to be the best fucking actor that in the history of acting. And like I've got that fierce competitive spirit. Nobody really says that about like creative pursuits, but like that really resonated with me because like I told you, I love fucking Kobe Bryant. Like he was obsessed with basketball, number one, and obsessed with becoming the best basketball player, not that ever lived, that he could become, living up to his potential. And that means doing all that fucking work and wanting it as bad as wanting to breathe. And that's when I really sunk my teeth into the craft and like really falling in love with it. So now I'm getting
you're going.
phone calls. Shit. Well, speaking of pursuits and goals, I thought it would be a really good time to bring you on here because I know that you're going to be leaving for a month here in a couple of days. But I just wanted to say congratulations again.
Thank you.
On being 40 under 40. Hold on. Hello, I'm in the middle of a podcast.
There's a guy at the front door about your podcast.
Okay, all right. I'll let him in a second. Thank you.
That's Tommy.
Did he text you he's here?
Yeah, he just called me right now.
All right.
You want to wrap it up?
Yeah. Well, we'll wrap it up in a second. Let's
bring him in.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up here. We were talking about goals. We were talking about. I wanted to congratulate you again when we got rudely interrupted by our gatekeeper. But congratulations again for the nomination for the 40 under 40, and this is the global 40 under
This
40.
is, yeah, this one actually I'm going to be speaking at it. So Dominican is we're going to be talking about like what we're going to be, what we've been doing out there, especially in Africa and in the Middle East, and all the work that we've been doing over there, and bringing people together through production, through film, and which, about all the work that.
So yeah, this was the long-winded way of getting there, but I wanted to talk a lot about Dominican, but we ended up talking a lot about our own psyches. But what is Dominican about?
I mean, it started initially as a production company, and right now what we do is IP acquisition, development, and production as well, plus distribution. Our goal is, as you already know me, my entire life surrounds around bringing people together from different cultures and learning about each other's culture. And at Dominican, what we do IP acquisition, we develop TV, film, scripted projects across the world, but the main focus is taking stories from the Middle East and North Africa and Africa as a whole and try to position them in a way where we're going to be true to the story, true to the message, but at a global scale so people can relate to it globally. And to us, that's like the only way we're going to be able to actually educate people and inform people and bring people together through entertainment. First time we did that was, to me, it's the way the company started. It was back 2021, where there is an Algerian film called Heliopolis, and it was selected for an Oscar nomination. And I was putting together the post-production for it and prepping it for the nominations for the Oscars. And we had different screenings here in North America. We had a screening in LA. So we decided to have me and used to be my mentor, now is my business partner, Mike Tinkle. And we had a private screening for it. We invited all these people around, executives, directors, to get their feedback. The story, it's a timepiece. It's about 1945, what started the Algerian war against France that led to Algerian independence, which is something I'm very passionate about because my father was part of it. My grandfather were actually fighting.
Part of the revolution?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we sat there watching a movie. I literally had chills the entire film. I almost cried. But then I'm looking around the movie theater. We had about like 6 or 8 different executives, and they're just like, they're watching it. They're like the cinematography, they like the story, but there's no emotions. After the movie, me and Mike went and grabbed cigars, and we're talking. I was like, what was wrong there? What did I miss? What's really going on? He's like, what are you talking about? So I told him, I was like, dude, I was ready to cry. But yet, when I was looking around the room, there was that emotion attachment.
Okay.
And he hit the nail on the head. He's like, see, this story right here is so powerful. It's about the revolution in Algeria. Over 1.5 million people died just on 3-year period, those 3 years leading up to the independence. He's like, but the problem is it was scripted and it was developed from a local perspective. So people outside cannot relate to the struggle, the internal struggle that Algerians had to go through. This story, African Americans, Native Americans, anybody can relate to it because they've all gone through similar life paths, but yet they can't relate to it because the way it was developed and the way it was scripted and the dialogue. Yeah. And to me, that's where like, fuck, how many other stories are out there like that in the world that people are producing from a local perspective versus from a global perspective that we can make an impact on and change. And that led me to start Dominican and start an IP acquisition and start helping develop, like with Saudi Arabia right now, UAE, Kenya, Nairobi, so many countries across Africa that were actually help develop their stories, taking their stories, redevelop everything to make it more of a global impact. So anybody around the world can sit down and watch it and they're going to be like, holy shit, I can relate to this. But stay true to the story and the message that we're not taking away from the culture impact.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what Dominican is.
What do you guys got planned for this year and moving forward?
We have several projects in development. Can't really talk about it.
Slates,
NDA,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have several projects, and about a couple of them. Just can't talk about it publicly as of yet. But
when you can, you're gonna come back.
We'll
on the
definitely
podcast,
sit
right?
down. We'll talk about it more.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good, man. When are you taking off for
Next week,
Dubai?
Monday, the
Next
7th.
Monday?
Yeah.
A week from today.
Yeah, a week from today.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I wish I could be there with you.
I know. It would have been great to have you out there with all your equipment and everything else, but next time.
Yeah.
Let's plan on it next time.
Sounds good, brother.
All right.
Well, again,
man.
congratulations and thank you for being here. I know this is a little humble little studio, but I appreciate you being my second guest, and I definitely did enjoy this conversation.
Same here, man.
Yeah.
Looking forward to see where the future takes you, man.
All right, brother.
Definitely. Take care. Best of luck.
Thanks, bro.